Hi, my name's Rachel Andrews. Welcome to Everyday Athlete. On this week's video, I'm going to be taking a look at how to measure distance of a swim. I'm going to be looking at a number of different methods, be it using a watch, using a phone, using a map, using the internet, but I'm going to work through each of those so you get a look at how I do that. Now, reasons you might want to know how far you're going would be if you are doing, say, a sponsored event and you're swimming a mile at a time, or if you're training for a longer distance and you've got a set schedule of the distance you need to swim. Or it could just be personal interest, trying to figure out how long you're staying in and how far you're swimming, looking at either your fitness or your habituation to outdoor swimming and the temperature and the environment. Lots of different reasons to do it. Let's get into how you do it. The free apps that I use on my phone are RYA SafeTrx and the Strava app. And what I tend to do is I'll make sure this is inside a waterproof pouch and then in the very top of my tow float. Some people do pop them inside their hat. What you're trying to do is maximize the signal, because this needs to get a signal from a phone mast to be able to track your location. I use a Garmin Fenix 5S, but one thing to know about all these kind of tracking watches is that they've got to get a signal. They've got to be able to see the sky and the satellites to be able to track your distance. So if you're swimming breaststroke, I probably wouldn't bother one of these unless you're going to put it inside your swim cap or inside your dry bag, and in which case you might as well use your phone. I did a swim the other day and I'll show you the track just here. And I mostly swam breaststroke with a friend, and then we stopped on a sandbank and had a little chat, and my arm came out the water, and it shows on the track, you can see in the corner here, that it looks like I just went straight to that point, so it missed the rest of my swim. On the way back I made quite a concerted effort to get my arm out the water a bit more, and to stop on sandbanks and wave it around a bit to see if I could encourage a track from it. And it did, as you can see, track much better on the way back, but that was a concerted effort, and I didn't do any front crawl swimming. The other two methods I've got is using a map and a piece of string, and also using a website to electronically measure. I do quite use this method to check that my technology has worked properly, but also when I'm planning a swim to work out roughly where I'm going to need to go to. It does involve needing a bit of observation though, so you need to look around you when you get to your turn point to check that there's something that you'll be able to identify either on a map or on a sea chart. So what I'm going to do now is set up Strava to get going. I need to first of all start a recording, and what I'll do then is select the track, select what sport I'm going to do by clicking on the little bicycle at the bottom. I'm going to switch that over to swimming. Let me find that. Swim. Okay, and then that's pretty easy. All I've got to do now is press start and I'm good to go. The next thing I'm also going to set up, ready to go, is SafeTrx. Once I've got SafeTrx up and running, I know that it's also going to act as my guardian angel and will alert somebody, my emergency contact, if I overrun, and will also let them track where I'm at. They can see where I am, so a pretty useful app. So I'm just going to set that one up now. So if you're interested to know how I set up the SafeTrx for swimming, I've got a video on that which I will link in the description below. Okay, so now I've got the tracking app set up to go. I'm actually going to record today using Strava and Navionics and SafeTrx. But the key thing is, as it goes into my dry bag, my tow float dry bag, I'm going to have to make sure it stays on the top. So let's just bear with that. So it's the very last thing that goes in. And as you can see, it's sitting just there, right on the top of everything else that's in there. So I'll do that up and then I should be good to go. I have already started the tracking, so it will give a slightly false reading, but my watch will give the exact one, because that's the one I'll be using in the water. So tracking set. I know where I'm getting in. I should be able to identify this red marker just here. And in fact, the green marker and the red marker just there, so that should be pretty easy to spot on the sea chart. And I know that I'm right next to a little lighthouse, which I'll just show you now, just up there. I should be able to identify that on an OS map. Should be all covered, all bases covered. So the final thing I need to do is set my watch to open water and start tracking with that one. What I've done by using all of these, seems quite over the top, is it's just to show you the different information that you get back from each of the apps and the watch, and to actually take a look at the accuracy when I check them against the chart on the computer and the OS map. So let's see how we get on. This will be an interesting experiment for me too. Okay, so the watch says I've done just over a K. I don't know what the other stuff says because obviously it's in my bag. Looking around, I've got a house up there on the side, which I should be able to identify, I think. There's a gate coming down just over there. There's some straight along groins, so if I have to use Google Earth, I should be able to use that. I'm not so far off the point there, and just behind me there is some buoyage, some posts, which might be of use if I line them up with the post in front of the house. So we'll see what we can do with that. Hopefully my watch has been accurate because I've been through a front crawl, and we'll see about the other tech. Better get headed back now into the wind. That's a bit disappointing. I'm back at the start now. I've just remembered to stop my watch just before I get out because that's a massive irritation if you leave your tech running. I've yet to stop my my stuff that's running on my phone, but I'll do that as soon as I get up to the side. Nice old swim that was. Here I am on webapp.navionics.com, which is the site that I use for planning and also for measuring afterwards. Just going to zoom in to the area I'm interested in at the bottom of the Beaulieu River. Next thing I'm going to do is just switch this around so that I can have a look at the satellite version so that I can spot where I was. So I started up where it says leap, and you can see there's a little icon with the green, yellow and red lines on it. That is where the lighthouse is. So I'm going to open up this little divider and I'm going to move my little pin just about to that second groin, which is about where I started. And then I'm going to take the other pin over here near to that house. Remember there was a lump on the chart as we were looking at it that sort of stuck out. And I think that's about it. So this is saying the distance I swam is 1.1 kilometers, and that is of course if I swam a dead straight line. Anyway, that's a more up-to-date method of measuring distance, and you don't have to buy the web app or anything. It's a free website to use. The final method for checking this is one you might remember from geography, using a piece of string and an OS map. So I started here by the lighthouse and I finished here by Inchmary House on about this lump. Well, that was my one-way track which I returned from. So I take the string, hold it down by the bottom of the lighthouse, take it over to the lump as if I swim in a straight line. There's a little bit I need to measure. Then I'll take it to the scale and I put it against here, put it at the 0, and it's coming up at pretty much 1 kilometre. So I can deduce from that that I swam about 2 kilometres this morning. Let's take a little look at what the tech says that I was wearing. So the Garmin Fenix 5S watch seems to have been pretty accurate. It's saying that I swam just over 2k, and the timing is what it is. So that seems to represent pretty much what I got on the maps. Looking next at the Strava phone app, that seems quite a bit more wiggly, but it is still showing roughly the same distance. I think the extra 600 meters on there is probably due to the bouncing around. It was in my tow float and it was quite windy, so it was wobbling about quite a bit, so it probably went a little bit further than I did. So that might explain that. The thing that's not accurate on here is the amount of moving time, because I was moving the whole time. So it's showing the same track roughly, not brilliant on the distance. Moving on to the SafeTrx, really interesting. For the first time ever, this has shown no track, no distance, but I think it could be down to the fact there was poor phone signal in the area, so it may have been that it never ever connected. But the good thing about it is because I started it and it had enough to send a text message to my emergency contact, that if I'd overrun on time, they would at least know where I'd started and that that I'd overrun, so they could raise the alarm and there would be a chance of coming to find me. Much better when it does work and the track shows though. And then Navionics, I ran this one as a little added extra. It is a pay-for app, which is a bit of a downside to it. But in terms of the one-way distance, pretty accurate, 1.1 kilometers it's saying. I don't know why it didn't double that for coming back, because I obviously did. And this one, you don't need a phone signal for it because you already have the map downloaded into your phone. Whether you decide to use technology or more traditional methods will depend on whether you have a phone signal, whether you've got a watch which requires a signal to satellites, or in fact whether you're just going to use your memory, taking in the surroundings, knowing where you got to so that you can identify that on a map or a sea chart after the event. I hope you found this video useful, and that before you shell out lots of money on all sorts of different tech, you'll take a look at the options out there already. If you have enjoyed it, please consider giving it a like and dropping me a comment. Let me know if you've had any problems with tech, and also please consider subscribing to my channel. It'd be great to have you along, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye!